Okay. Hi, welcome to Norman's Orchid weekly podcast. And this is our episode 89. And today's topic is the complex Paphiopedilum. And some people like to call it complex. And the other common name will be called Bulldog because it looks like the British, the Bulldog. And this is one of my favorite Paphiopedilum. One of my mentor in orchid judging, Dr. Brown, he actually was a doctor and met his wife when he was stationed in England during World War II. And he presented her with a Bulldog cut flower. And so he actually taught me a lot about the complex Bulldog. And this is the typical shape of the Bulldog. You know, can you take a picture here? It's not this one here. This is just happen to be here. The complex Paphiopedilum has been in the work, the registration, and the hybridization for over 100 years old. They all primarily been done in the England at the Royal Horticultural Society, and a lot of the species are from Malaysia. Species like Sandriana, Sandrai, Venerstum, and they're all from the Himalaya. So the one thing about the Bulldog or complex Paphiopedilum, other than the Maldive type, which is the Southeast Asia, the tropical type, the complex Paphiopedilum in general, they do not have any marking, okay, versus the Maldive type. The complex always give you the solid leaf. And secondly, they always flower in the winter, late winter and early spring. So from now on to about the end of March, it's actually the season. The season can come as early as November, and now because of with the breeding, now they can extend it, the breeding as late as Easter. And the one that flower the earliest, if you want for a Paphiopedilum for your collection, the green. This green always flower the earliest for you. So you can have the earliest for as early as for Christmas. The one flower the latest is usually the red color one. And the reason they use the tropical Paphiopedilum called Bolotulum. They use Bolotulum in the breeding. But funny thing is, the Bolotulum actually have variegation on the leaf, but because the complex, they keep breeding and for the bigger and bigger flower. So you don't see the variegation from the red color. But in general, the red Bulldog, not only they are later bloomer because the Bolotulum influence, they usually smaller leaf, more compact. They also more heat tolerant because of Paphiopedilum Bolotulum. Some might have leucocytic in the background. So depending on where you live, if you live in Orlando, Florida, this is when you have the cold front coming, it's lovely. Just leave it outside, they will enjoy. In South Florida, we have customers very successful flower this. They actually raise in the house as a house plant, and before they flower, they put it outdoor right after right about November when the outdoor is cooler, and that cold temperature will actually stimulate the flower for you, even in South Florida. But the main thing for them is if you're in Florida or in any of the heat summer heat area like Texas or Houston, for example. Very similar. Remember the session we have on the phalaenopsis, the pansy orchid. They are actually more dormant in the summertime. They don't grow really active. So in the summertime, they like it be cooler. So this is the type in the summertime. Group them together with your phalaenopsis. Okay, then, so how are we doing so far? And one thing very exciting about the complex, there's a lot of the, Harold Cooper would also been doing some sort of the mini or compact that, for example, this is the German yellow crossed with a Paphiopedilum venustum. So venustum is another species. So they kind of actually smaller flower. So they actually more and more you're gonna see what we call the teacup size complex. And I think we also receive some of the breeding work from Dr. Harold Cooperwood. So Dr. Harold Cooperwood is the forefront beginning the trend in this the teacup size complex Paphiopedilum. Unfortunately, I do not have any of them in flower right now, but when we have that sufficient number, we actually can do a session just on teacup or mini complex. That's very exciting because that type of Paphiopedilum or the complex is actually more heat tolerance and also is perfect for under light. All right, so this is actually one of our gift arrangement. We like to do every time we offer this on the orchid.com for gift arrangement. It always a sell out because nobody can actually grow this kind of orchid for gift, and they actually can ship whole. Sometimes depending on the area, we don't even need to put the heat pad in there. That's one thing about complex. They are hardy. They are actually very comfortable to be outside. We grow this outside. It can be in Southern California in your shade garden or your fern garden. They're actually very comfortable down to about 45, provided that you don't, if you don't get the rain on them in the wintertime, because the way the flowers shape, the water tend to collect in the center. So that's one thing that you need to watch out is the water. Okay, I know in Florida, that's why in Florida you don't want to put this. In Florida you get a lot of rain. So if you grow this outdoor in Florida, make sure you don't have the water collect overnight here. But you're not supposed to grow outdoor in South Florida anyway because it's too hot. You're going to tend to get a lot of rotting. So if you grow this, put it in the house as a house plant because people in Florida have AC on it, and they will be very, very comfortable for you. And one thing I learned from the complex recently, one of my customers, Dr. Joseph Chan, remember he posted a green complex, and the size of flower is almost like the size of Cattleya. It's over 15 centimeters. And so something that I never think about before, and he said when he spray Mega Dry in every other week, let me see, he actually not only spray the leaf, he make sure he have an extra dose, spray the Mega Dry on the young flower bud as they're coming up. So, thank you, Jeff. So when you spray Mega Dry, a lot of people, most of us might afraid, make sure you also hit the flower bud. Yeah, give them an extra dose of flower bud, especially when they're young like this. Okay, and that was his trick. Make sure hit the young flower bud. Okay, everybody gonna start doing that, and we test it on our Cattleya now when it's in bud. I think the Mega Dry, the enzyme will do a wonderful job, increase the flower size. And I know some judges, I know in judging, size is only 10 point, but the judge is always impressed with the wow factor on this. So Mega Dry is wonderful for the complex type, and many of you are new with us. This is the Mega Dry. It's a product we help develop. It's a wonderful enzyme, and you do this. We do this every other week, so it's about twice a month. Okay, so I always do this early in the day, so they will dry up by night. And this is the perfect example of good, not exactly micro mini, but look at this, how many spikes coming out. This is why I do not like to divide the complex, leaving as a big plant. So this is the, when they are in season like this, it's actually good to start grooming them. It's okay to have, it's very natural to have an older leaf. You want to make sure. A lot of the time we have thousands and thousands of plants. We might not have a time to take care of everything. But in our nursery, a lot of time when they are actually in spike, the staff will start gathering them to come to the different greenhouse, so we can keep an eye on them and then can staging them. Okay. I'm going to do this from there. Okay, so what about staging them? One thing I like about the staging them is, depend on the breeding. Usually you don't need to stage this yet, because I don't want to you don't want to stage the complex pad too early. I usually I only spike them when they actually half flower open. That way the flower is actually positionally. At this stage, because the flower is not fully developed, so they're not very heavy. So it's okay to let them like this. I like it like this. That way they usually develop a nice and tall and straight flower stem. In orchid judging, the stem is also 5 point. So we do not want to have a crooked stem. So this is a good habit, because this is why sometimes you wondering how come this complex Paph have red ribbon, even though it is bigger or better than this blue ribbon on the side. Possible because they had the crooked, very crooked the flower stem. Okay. Okay, so here's another perfect example of the complex Paph. It's not unusual to have a new spike getting ready for here. And you notice here, there's a yellow older spike here, and that is okay. The most likely they probably, I'm gonna frame my tool. This one here, you can either cut it, but I think here I can easily just pull it off, because I do not like, it's not very ornamental, because this is going to a sale. I think for Jamie have a special for next week, for this Sunday's podcast. If I'm going to ship this out to a customer, we have to remove this, because even though if it's for myself, I will leave it there, because I want the time to let the plant gradually to send the nutrient back to the mothership. But if we don't remove this, but people are going to complain about the yellow leaf. The yellow leaf is okay. The yellow leaf is part of the senescence, part of the change of season. So this is the perfect, what I call good grooming. It's nice and straight. Can you shoot a picture on the back? How we do this? Okay, we a good grooming. We're not forcing them. We're not artificial forcing them. We just go with the flow of the flower stem coming up. And I know some of our members are judges. Okay, sometimes the judges might remove the flower stem to see if the flowers are heavy, but this is okay, because in complex Paphiopedilum, the flower is going to be top heavy anyway. But if we are doing for breeding, for selection, I personally might not like this flower, because I think the flower stem may be too thin. But this is a perfect example of the complex red, because and you can always tell by the leaf of the complex, because the blotchy in the background and the gene in the background. The complex Paph always have this beautiful pigmentation and the cyanide in the base of the leaf. So a lot of time people, okay, so guess how old this plant is? Anybody will take a guess? Now, the complex Paph, when they get, especially the red one, because the blotchy in the background, they are slower grower. A complex Paph from the seed, when we talk about out of flask, from the baby plant out of flask, you need minimum 4 years. 4 years. So that's why many times I always say never buy the eyelash size. The eyelash size just looks like just less than 6 months out of flask. So they're not very forgiving on the culture. If you want to buy Paphiopedilum, I don't care where you get it from, this is the minimum size, okay? 5 to 6 inches. This is what we consider as a near mature size. And stage like this, usually about 3 years, okay? So you do yourself a favor on the complex. You're not saving any money by buying the really tiny plant, because once you get to this size, minimum 5 to 6 inches, that they are more established. And about Paphiopedilum too. One thing about Paphiopedilum, the complex, especially complex, if you're not sure about whether you need to water or not, and most of the Paphiopedilum, they like to grow in the bark. They like the good soil. They do not like sphagnum moss usually, but we can do it in sphagnum here, because in California my water is very alkaline. My water is about 5, sometimes 8.5 or 7.5. So if I use the sphagnum moss with my alkaline water in Los Angeles, in my area here, it's actually bearing stuff to about 5.7. So it's still on the alkaline. It's not that bad. But if you are in the area that your water is on the acid side, okay, that means below 7.0. This is why some of the previous segment I asked them, always you can actually write or call your water company, get a water report. So water report will give you a lot of data. The first thing you also look for is what is the pH of your water in your area. If you have a well water, also it's a good idea to get analyzed, because sometimes well water might have a lot of heavy metal in there. So Paphiopedilum do not like bad water quality. So they like a lot of water, especially for my area in the summertime. My water is not good, because we had to import a lot of water from Colorado. By the time they get here, there's a lot of calcium and also high pH. So we do what we call the double water. Water once, and we come back to water again. The first one is kind of moisten the media, loosen the media. The second watering is to leach out any of the excess that salt might build up, either from last fertilizer program. So, and never let the Paphiopedilum complex or multi-type, the root to dry out, because the root have the hair. They're very different than the phalaenopsis, which is like succulent root. This is why you never receive Paphiopedilum bare rooted. Okay, once they're bare rooted, the root hair on the root system dry out. It's very hard to get them back live again. Over time might take years. Okay, how are we doing so far? Okay. So
Catherine wants to know if they would do better in DI water.
Yes, if you have DI water, that's even better. But if you use a DI water, make sure you have the fertilizer that is what we call complete fertilizer. because the DI water, it take out everything, all the good and bad, and even all the micronutrients. And this is why the Norman orchid fertilizer have the complete. One thing about DI water or reverse osmosis water, once a month, you still actually want to water your plant with tap water, because DI water, it will take up everything, or especially reverse osmosis water. You take up all the micronutrients. So they actually might sometimes, if your fertilizer is not complete fertilizer, they're going to have some kind of micronutrient deficiency. Yeah. Okay, but DI water is good. Reverse osmosis water is good, but never water softener. Okay. Sorry. Oh, it's hot today. It's like 88 outside today. We're not even at Valentine's Day yet. Okay. All right. So this is another selected seeding from last year. You can tell this is actually previous flower. Okay. And this is a beautiful complex red. And this is one of the plants that we save. We want to keep, but there's way to propagate, and that I can do something about this one here. If I don't do something, this actually will be what we call the senesce. Okay, so a lot of time the water complex path, because they cannot be tissue culture, they actually a water plant is actually sold by the division per grow, and depend, in Japan, the water division might go as much as $1,000 per grow. So this is the plant, for example, is one of the better one, and I really want, I don't want this all suitable to go wasted. So what I'm going to do, we've done this very similar in Cattleya. Okay, I did a cut, but I did not, you see here, the plant still attached. Okay, but this is why everybody need to have Norman's 2-in-1. Okay, I think I showed this on 1.7 in Cattleya. We just, where we cut it here, after you cut it. So these plants are actually detached now. Okay, this is a lot better when you divide the orchid and then this become a backbone. This way the root ball down there is still supporting the plant. So now I'm going to put my 2-in-1 cakey paste. Okay, only my 2-in-1 cakey paste can do that. This one, a lot of the cakey paste use a synthetic cytokinins, and that is actually designed for phalaenopsis, but they cannot do this. And the trick is, the cytokinin, the hormone in here, is actually, we use the organic corn. This is actually from the corn called cytokinin. It's all natural, very expensive. We only get the cytokinins that called kinetin once a year from a particular source. That the corn actually is organic and not GMO. Okay, this is why so this, it's not, you say expensive, but it's not really expensive. This is 5 kilograms and lasts a long time. So do me a favor, if you go any orchid, this is one of the essential little trick that we have. Okay, so that way, when this is beautiful and primed, when they finish, then we can actually later on, when these are ready to divide, this plant, the backbone here, you probably have an eye to start to begin with. So this way, the plant have detached from the mother plant, and the 2-in-1 hormonal, the kinetin in there, is going to heal the wound and then going to emerge, and because we have detached them already, so they're going to encourage the basal dormant vegetative shoot to come out. So after 2 months, when this is finished, then we can separate them, and then I have a back ball ready for this one here. All right, so this is a little trick that we use here, and especially for very valuable plant like Complex Paphs. You can do that with your multi-eye type also. Okay, remember, the Paphiopedilum cannot be mass produced. Okay, they cannot be tissue culture. Well, they can, but really slow. So that might be a good thing. So this is why a tool like this is good for on hand to do this trick. And one thing about the Complex Paph, never let the water stay in here. This is what we call, they're not the lip, we call it pouch. Okay, if you have an automatic watering system, sometimes most of the time the water, this cap here will protect the pouch here, but a lot of hybrid will be more open, so the water might stay inside. If that's the case, make sure you tilt it and get the water out of there, because if water stay inside, you're gonna have water stay in here, and then you're gonna have a mold, and then the pouch will be premature thinness, and they're not gonna last as long for you. And it definitely is long enough, it's gonna show up here. Okay, but a lot of the time the Complex Paph, from the beginning to the end, it will give you at least a minimum couple months, especially if they are in flower. Take it in the house. In Florida, take it in the house because it will be nice and cooler temperature, and the flower will last much longer. That's why in England they love this, because in England they're always cloudy and always foggy. Paphiopedilum complex does not need as much light as the Eukaryotea or Dendrobium. So this is an ideal orchid to put it with your phalaenopsis or any of the shady plant. Okay. So we done all the watering. Watering is always double water. We feed them the same time we normally give food, a teaspoon per gallon of water. We also, everything in our nursery, once a month, we have 5 cents. A teaspoon per gallon. This is our program. I know we have some new member here. A teaspoon, not tablespoon. The instructions say teaspoon, but we always use a teaspoon per gallon to drench as a preventative program. Okay, and I also actually make out a 1 gallon of 5 cent solution, because I'm going to show you a repotting later on. So then if I'm doing repotting or cleaning your pot, then I do 1 tablespoon. Okay. As far as the pest is concerned, they do not have a lot of problem with the pests, because a lot of time they like it moist, a lot of water. So the only time you might have problem is sometimes the minibud might stay in here. Not much problem with scale, because it's not that juicy for them to chew on. They don't have a lot of water. The only time would be possible minibud might be stay in the crown. Okay, so if you keep the air circulation, you're okay on this. And recently, we're probably going to put this up for sale. I like this pot. We're going to market this. This is imported. I kind of like this pot. This gives you an extra drainage from the side, and this is wonderful for the path for bark or even moss. And what I like about this pot here, you see here, it have a dome inside, so it's a nice physics. When that dome inside, it's actually have a nice physics. When you water them, it forces the water to come down even faster and better. So you're not going to have if it's a flat like this, the water might stay in at the bottom, and they might have too much water at the root of the pot. So we will have this put it on the website because, like I say, I do not like to sell something that I don't comfortable. I have tried this for about 2 years, and I love it. And Paphiopedilum has never been happier. Okay.
Linda says sold.
Good. And then if you go in the moss for phalaenopsis, you can actually repot in here. It's wonderful because of the perfect for moss. It's just right amount. I do not like those pots that have too much hole, too big a hole, and then the root actually go outside and then make a, sometimes it's not as disciplined. This is just perfect, and I really like this storm shade in here at the base. So if you are going 100% moss or mix, it's wonderful. You will help your bottom part of the moss dry out even faster for you. Okay, so I will talk to Karen and make this available. That nice thing about this, it's stackable, so you can actually ship this. I might have this. Hey, Jamie, there. We might have this as early for Jamie for her jumper. Let's try it because people can try on this Sunday. Okay. Alrighty. So fertilizer, everything else. What about repotting? Okay. Yes.
John is asking for growing these in the high desert. Any specific tips?
High desert, I mean like dry and cold, very similar to California. If you have a greenhouse, this does not need as much heat as phalaenopsis. They actually very prefer, once you get to, when they are small like this, like AV baby, in their vegetative stage, they all like it warm. Then when from this size, we're going to transfer to a bigger size. Before the flowering stage, they actually like to drop down to 55. Okay, so John, you can actually keep growing them at 65. You're gonna have a nice big bush of the vegetative before they, but that's okay for baby plant like this. That's why we have a tray of a plant in 3-inch pot. Once from this size, it's actually ready for a bigger pot for 3.5. That's what we call, this is what we call the near mature size. And from here to mature size, then we're going to grow in the area. Especially in the winter time, it's okay, let them drop below 60. They will appreciate, and they will, in fact, some of them even have flower, even on the small pie. I just pulled this tray from our intermediate house, with the Cattleya house. Our intermediate house is usually the Cattleya house, and that temperature is 55. So at that low temperature, some plant can actually sensitive to have flowers. So that's a little trick you can do on your, nice about in the high desert, your winter time is cold. So you can, that's what we do when we want to stimulate earlier flower for the complex for Christmas, right in October, before trick or treat. We put all the complex, the Bulldog, the complex one, for the warm house. Sometimes we stick it outside because it's cold at night. All right, so that way, put it outside or put it in the unheated area. As long as they're about 40 degrees, okay, you don't want to shock them. Leave it out there for 2 weeks, okay, and then put it inside in the warm house. Okay, so many people have under light. Okay, put it outside, mark it on the calendar, minimum 2 weeks. Let it drop below 60 degrees, and then put it into another regular temperature area that can stimulate, and that's how we get the work on the complex, the green one. Because remember, the green one genetically are early bloomer anyway. But if you want to get it even earlier, like for me, I need this product for Christmas. Everybody love apple green complex at Christmas time because you have the big white phalaenopsis. So this is how you kind of play around with it. It's all about the temperature, the plant physiology. Don't hesitate to do something different. as long as you know the limit of the plant, and that will be okay. All right.
What's the minimum outside temperature they can take?
Okay, they can take the cold, but they do not like the hot, dry, 100-degree weather outside. So when I can put this outside in Southern California half time of the year, by the time after Mother's Day, well, actually after 4th of July, in Southern California, when we are about 85 degrees Fahrenheit and the humidity drop below 20%, it's good to put it in house. Or I have customer that if you have a shade garden, and you are home all the time, you can actually do what we call a shade garden. Look, a shade garden is all your begonia, fern. They're going to be high moisture, so they can take under that as long as you can keep the temperature about 85 degrees. In Southern California or some part of the country, it's okay. I know some of you in New Jersey, in the East Coast, like to put all your orchid outside, and that's okay. They can take the moisture. The moisture is okay as long as that you get in the heavy shade and also a nice air movement for them. So this is very, very common that I know have customers in New York, when they put all the orchid, we call it summer outside, they put it outside, and where they have an extra shade, maybe too shady for the Cattleya or Dendrobium, this is perfect to put in there, and make sure they have good air movement on them, okay? And the repotting is very easy. The complex Paphiopedilum. Okay, excuse me. Need a bigger table now. The Paphiopedilum and complex actually can repot pretty much any time of the year. Okay. And you want to do this case by case only. This is a complex that actually ready to go out to from near mature side, because spring is coming. They're not going to flower at this stage. Okay. Make sure you have a label ready. Yeah, I don't like to go repot them when the pollen mix is too damp. So this is the root of the complex. Can you get closer? You can see the root on the Paphiopedilum. Sometimes we have customer and complaining about, oh, your Paphiopedilum, the root is dyed because they're all brown. They're not like phalaenopsis, are white. Ma'am, this is what the root is supposed to look like. And especially grow in the bark. The Paphiopedilum, they are terrestrial. The root is supposed to be brown and blackish. They are not like phalaenopsis. They don't have white succulent root. And before you repot your orchid, always water the plant before, because you want to make sure that you see the hair here. This is the hair. You don't want to make sure the hair on the Paphiopedilum are moist. You never let them dry out. And this is why Paphiopedilum, if you have to ship, we always ask the shipper to pack in with pre-moist moss, so the Paphiopedilum will not dry out in transit. But no, even though sometimes we have customers say, can you bare root it for me? I want to save shipping charge. I said, no, I will not do that, because the chances are I'm going to have even more service call, because in transit, if it got delayed, if the moss dry out, you're going to have a real problem. So when you order the Paphiopedilum, always insist they are in the bark, in the pot. Okay, so I have another stocking ready. Okay, so this is my big bucket. This is a tablespoon per gallon of water of 5-cent solution. So once I bare root it, I want to use a 5-cent solution. Okay. I want to disinfect and get rid of all the old stuff. And then I'm going to see, okay, that this root is not good because it is decayed. So you do not want to have this old root. So I'm going to trim out any old root is not live, black. Because if you put it into the new potting media, guess what? They're going to be decomposed. And then your potting media, not going to last as long. Okay, then this is the mega dry solution. Okay, regular ratio. I'm gonna give it a good soak of mega dry. Okay, okay, and the root area too. That's okay. That's enough. Okay, so this is actually good. This is, huh? Huh? This is 3.5. This is 3 to 3.5. Okay. So you always want to have at least an inch and a half below this rim. So I'm gonna. This is the pre-mix. Our fine orchid mix. You can get this from our website. It's ready to use. It's pasteurized and also have the bamboo charcoal in there. Okay, so I'm kept it here. I use the 4-finger, always the 4 corner. You don't want to press in the center. You only press the 4 corner. Only. Okay, press and then shake it. That way, there's a good inch. You don't want to be too full. If it's too full, the bark might be in here, okay? Or you get too full, you're actually wasting your potting media and it can be overflow. So this is, and then when you lift it up, this is a good repotting. If you lift it up and everything drop, you did not press enough, okay? So you never press the center. You always press, if you press the center here, a lot of your root will be crushed in the center. Okay, they put this in the center, and that's it. Perfect. So this is what you do when you're repotting the baby plant. Okay. Okay, what about this one? The best time to repot them always after flower, right? So this one here, I'm actually not going to repot them yet. I'm going to set them aside because my rule of thumb always this is the new shoot still too young. I want to wait another a month. Okay, but I'm going to use the opportunity because the finished flower to clean this up. Okay, so this is the one I'm going to repot them. This is too young. Okay, let's wait until they're about 2 to 4 inches. Okay, let's wait on this one here. Okay, this one here, definitely a good candidate to repot now. This is the one actually been going outside. You can tell they got some sunburn, a little bit sunburn and cold damage. And so this is actually, and this is good time to do it. A little bit, I should have done it 2 weeks earlier, but nevertheless, it's okay to do it now. Okay, so the berry root balm. Paphiopedilum is good to have them have root balm. Look at it. Oh, you see here? Ooh. Okay. A lot of this old mix here, you can save them. I use it for my compost. We put this on top of our fruit tree, and that we can prevent the weed. Cut down the water, so you don't have to water as much. Okay, so here again, we want to pinch up all this older sheet here. Here's another 5 cents. A bucket of 5 cents, a tablespoon per gallon. You can go to at least 5 to 10 plants, depending on how dirty the potting mix. Okay, so you see, this is a very good massive root. And it's okay, I'm going to do some root pruning. It's okay to do some root pruning. Okay, and I'm going to cut off any of the older root that is not good. Okay, and then you should make it dry, again a good drench, good rinse. And this is actually you have two choices. You can either go back to the same size, but I think this one is actually can go to a bigger size, because if this one have a lot of problem with a small root, that root, I actually go back to the same size. It's only rational. It's only depend on how much root you have to work with. So this is a perfect one to go to a 5-inch, less than 3-inch pot. Again, I always use this as a guide. You put the all suitable toward the side, to the edge, that and the new front. Okay, they go like rhizome. Always at the other side, so you give them space. You can push as much as possible. That give you all this at least 2 years of new growth. And then use your hand as a station, because I already positioned again. This will be at the 2 inches below. Of course, you can also wear gloves if your skin is sensitive. Here we go. Just use your finger, push them down. Voila. So, then this will be ready for a really nice growth. You actually ahead of schedule for this coming fall. This, okay. Okay, so that's about it for the repotting. You can repot any time of the year, as long as they have a good new shoot come out. But this one here, we can't do anything because the flowers coming. Okay, so just leave it alone and enjoy the plant. This can be a really, really robust plant. And this is what, when you order online, sometimes you say, well, we have a regular mature size, or in abundance pipe. This is what we call the premium size. Okay, and Jamie, because I'm sure everybody is excited. I had 3 people try to talk to me at the same time. People are excited about the jumper. She's gonna have a special jumpers, right? Your choice, a color for Sunday.
Yes.
Okay, good.
I'm gonna post it right after you finish.
Okay, good. So this is actually, if you never tried a complex before, congratulations, because the complex now today is a lot easier and more affordable than 30 years ago when I was, in the 70s and 80s. They are actually a lot easier to grow, fast growing, very long lasting, and depend on the breeding, also heat resistant. And so, unless any more question, I think I will complete today's session. Okay, less is more, but on the Complex Paph, if you're not sure about water, go ahead and water it anyway, and never buy the eyelashes side. Never buy the eyelashes side. Okay, thank you, and I'm gonna go on, clean up to the show.